Firefighters were called out. A woman said her husband Jerry was under a house doing plumbing but got trapped. Lieutenant Stella went in first to check.
Fire department, call out!
You gotta get me out of here.
Jerry anxiously said, "Don't make any sudden movements." Stella shone her flashlight and was shocked. Jerry's body was covered in bees and his arm was stuck in a pipe, unable to move. Stella quickly came out and instructed everyone to gear up because there's a swarm of bees down there. Moreover, Stella had a couple of bee stings on her arm. Crew suggested using smoke to control the bees, but Stella said they couldn't bring an open flame into that crawl space. Sylvie then suggested freezing them out. After some discussion, they decided to use CO2 extinguishers. The firefighters quickly went down. At this time, Jerry remained still with a very pained expression. Stella put a mask on Jerry. Outside the house, the firefighter opened a hole to serve as a vent. Inside, the firefighters started using extinguishers. Sure enough, the bees were driven out and contained outside. Jerry was temporarily safe. Meanwhile, the squad team inside the house found the pipe and sawed it off. Jerry, with the pipe still on his arm, was rescued and brought out. He needed to be taken to the hospital immediately for a checkup. Before leaving, his wife said,
I'll meet you at the hospital. Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but we're hiring a plumber.
Firefighters Kelly and Stella seemed stranded in the middle of the lake. Because their boat had a problem, Stella wanted to call for a rescue, but Kelly insisted they were not.
No, I'm gonna get this going.
You've been saying that for an hour.
Stella, there is no chance going for a rescue. Zero.
However, the rescue team eventually arrived, and the rescuers couldn't wait to brag about who they towed in.
Firefighter who had to get himself rescued off the lake. The intrepid Kelly Severide, helpless and lost at sea.
Just as they reached the marina, another boat arrived, and a man fell overboard. When he approached the boat to be lifted in, he got caught in the propellers.
Get that motor shut.
Kelly dove in to save him. When Kelly tried to grab the man, he suddenly sank into the water. By then, Stella had successfully turned off the boat, but neither of them resurfaced right away. There was blood everywhere. At that moment, Stella was extremely worried. Fortunately, Kelly finally emerged with the man in his arms. He was saved, but the man's leg was severely injured.
Okay.
We need an ambulance. Call 911.
Yeah.
It was thanks to Kelly that the man narrowly escaped death. A scoreboard fell over a pool. The boy was trying to pull the girl. Just moments ago, the boy cried out that someone was being electrocuted inside the pool. Firefighters rushed to the site. The wires were sparking with electricity. The boy was trying to pull the girl who was being electrocuted. Matthew shouted loudly to stop, but it was too late. Several children in the water were terrified. The situation now was very critical. Two injured persons were being brought over at this moment, but suddenly one boy became confused with fear, ignoring the firefighters' calls and swam towards the other side. Seeing the boy was farther and farther away, the firefighters took off their jackets and jumped into the water, intending to forcefully bring him back. Meanwhile, Kelly was controlling the wires, but the power generated by the sparks made the wires ride like snakes. The firefighters held onto the boy tightly, rushing towards the shore. Just as the scoreboard fell off again, while Matthew, responsible for cutting off the power, was still trying to pry open the steel door. At this moment, the boy was brought onto the shore. The firefighters had to get out of the water quickly, because an electrical wire was about to fall into the pool. At the critical moment, Matthew finally opened the iron gate and immediately turned off the power. The wire then fell into the pool. Even a second's delay would have caused the firefighters in the water to be electrocuted. A woman stormed into the firehouse, demanding the firefighters return her son. It turned out there had been an accident at the pool. Since they couldn't contact the boy's parents in time, the firefighters had brought him back to the station. To their surprise, the woman didn't show gratitude. Instead, she angrily questioned why the firefighters had taken her son without permission. The firefighters were deeply frustrated. They had risked their lives to save the boy, yet were being blamed for it. Otis had to explain to the woman that the boy had already been picked up by his father. Unexpectedly, the woman's expression changed dramatically upon hearing this.
He doesn't have custody. He's a lunatic, and you just hand over my child to him? What gives you the right?
It seemed the firefighters were in trouble. Sure enough, later that afternoon, two superiors brought bad news. The woman had threatened to take the matter to the news channel. She demanded either a sum of money or promised to expose the incident on TV the next day. The superiors, unwilling to take responsibility, asked Chief Bowden to pay her off. Otis was deeply upset, as he was the one who had contacted the boy's father. He decided not to implicate anyone else and went alone to the woman's house to apologize. He told her that it was his decision and the firehouse wasn't involved. He hoped she would withdraw her accusation. The woman, realizing she wasn't getting any money, coldly shut the door in his face. Just as Otis was about to leave, he noticed a family sticker on her car. He immediately realized the woman had been lying. She and her husband were not separated. Otis knocked on her door again.
Hey, it's me again. That little stick figure family decal, that looks brand new. Are you scamming us?
What's wrong, baby?
You're scamming us.
He took out his phone and captured evidence of her lie, then quickly turned and left. Now it was the woman's turn to be in trouble. Back at the office, they were still discussing how to resolve the situation with money. Otis told them it was unnecessary and explained what had happened. Hearing this, the chief was furious and instructed the lawyer to make the woman face the consequences.
You don't have to tell me. Send me that photo.
Paramedics were called out for an emergency. A mother anxiously said her daughter was getting worse. She thought it was just jet lag, but now the girl was blotchy and having trouble breathing.
Mommy, my legs. I can't feel them.
Paramedic Foster laid the girl on the floor. After an examination, she found that the girl was having an allergic reaction. She told her partner Chad to grab an EpiPen. At this moment, Chad questioned her, saying an allergic reaction wouldn't cause paralysis, and guessed that the girl was probably just trying to get out of school. Foster glared at him and repeated EpiPen.
EpiPen.
After administering the EpiPen, the girl seemed a bit more comfortable. Through chatting with the mother, Foster learned that the girl had just returned from Australia. Hearing this, Foster suddenly thought of something. She quickly checked the girl's hair and found a tick in her head. She removed it with tweezers and placed it in a tester. It turned out that all the girl's symptoms were caused by the tick. The crews were called out to a scene where a man was entangled in ropes at the side of a building.
Don't let him move an inch! That rope's barely securing him. The smallest move could send him into free fall. Help me! I don't know why dispatch sent us. The longest ladder we carry doesn't get us halfway there.
Chief Bowden told them to get the aerial ready so they could reach him from the side balcony. Suddenly, a candidate Gallo from another firehouse decided to play hero.
What's your candidate up to?
Gallo, what the hell are you doing?
He jumped from balcony to balcony, determined to reach the man.
Gallo! Guy's gonna get himself killed.
At this moment, everyone held their breath for Gallo. Gallo didn't seem afraid of the danger he was in. With a smile on his face, he actually made it there. He wrapped the man in his legs. At the same time, Captain Casey had already climbed up using the ladder to assist them. Finally, with everyone working together, the man was successfully rescued. People clapped for Gallo, but it seemed that other firefighters were furious.
That was a hell of a performance. You okay?
Just another dull day in the CFD.
Come on.
An off-duty police officer was on his way home. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Not far away, someone was robbing a store at gunpoint. The officer immediately drew his gun, took the opportunity, and pulled the robber out from the counter and proceeded to arrest him. Upon the arrival of the duty cop, he thanked the officer. Meanwhile, smelled alcohol on the officer's breath. It was then revealed that the officer had just come from a retirement party, quickly grabbing some mints from the counter, trying to mask the smell of alcohol. Unfortunately, this scene was witnessed by the lieutenant outside the door.
You been drinking, officer?
He seemed unconcerned about the officer's brave actions and promptly reported the situation, requesting an immediate alcohol test. Another cop immediately explained that he was off duty and didn't even fire his weapon. However, the lieutenant said he was just following procedure. Soon the results of the alcohol test showed the officer had blown a .08 on the breathalyzer. He was intoxicated, facing pressure from the media. The police commissioner could only hope for justice in the courtroom. However, disappointingly, the prosecuting attorney sided with the media, focusing solely on the intoxicated officer pulling his gun. The verdict was highly unfavorable to the officer. At this point, he was completely shattered.
That night makes me wish I would have just kept walking.
Just then, against his assistant's advice, the police commissioner insisted on holding a press conference.
He did the right thing for the right reasons at the right time under unfortunate circumstances. He made a mistake. Peter Grasso is the kind of police officer I want to serve with. He will be given a 30-day suspension and a 1-year probation, but he will keep his job.